Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report, brought to you by BetDSI, and I'm your host, Mitchell Renz. I have some Raider Nation rumors just for you. So now these are rumors straight from you, Raider Nation, so people who subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you want to be on the show, you're going to have to subscribe, okay? YouTube.com/Raiders Report. And it's pretty cool, all right, because I like to see what you guys create. And ultimately, this is my most fun section. And instead of just 3, I got 6 coming at you. First Raider Nation rumor coming up is from Rakes. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce it, but your logo or your picture avatar is a Patrick Star with a wand, I believe. So I guess that's pretty cool. Jadeveon Clowney next offseason is coming to the Oakland Raiders. I'm giving this one 2 Chucky heads, and people are talking. And I like this fit, all right? So Rakes, or however the hell you pronounce your name, I like this one. He was a former first overall pick in the 2014 draft, and he's just dripping with talent. Long, lanky, can run, and at only 25 years old, it's scary to think that a man that size is my age. Here are his season stats. 32 tackles, 7 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, and 2 fumble recovers, my bad, and he does have a touchdown. Now, when you're talking about just an edge presence, Jadeveon Clowney would be an unbelievable edge presence. Now, I looked this up on Spotrac, and his market value for next year is going to be somewhere around 6 years and $100 million. Average salary is $16 million or $16.6 million. That's a lot of money to be paying a defensive end. But when you look at the talent that Jadeveon Clowney has and the presence that he could bring, it would be really interesting to see him in some silver and black. So I always give my Chucky heads. I want to know from you, how many Chucky heads for this rumor? How many Chucky heads for Jadeveon Clowney coming to Raider Nation? All right, is it tuck rule, tuck that? Is it 1, 2, 4? Let me know. How many Chucky heads for this past rumor? Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report, brought to you by BetDSI, and I'm your host, Mitchell Renz. Please follow me on Twitter at MitchellRenz365, and remember to subscribe to YouTube.com/Raiders Report so you can be on Raider Nation rumors. If you're new to the show, you need to understand my Raider rumor scale. 0 Chucky heads, tuck rule, tuck that. This rumor, not going to happen. 1 Chucky head is a small shred of truth. I like to think 25% chance of happening. 2 Chucky heads, people are talking, 50-50 coin flip. 3 Chucky heads is pretty likely, 75% chance of happening. And then 4 Chucky heads, believe it, baby, 100% this rumor is going to happen. Next rumor coming up here on the board is from Little Dino. And Dino in his picture is dropping some cash. And it looks like he's dropping cash on 2 years and a $1 million contract on Dez Bryant coming to the Raiders. Little Dino, hey, the idea is interesting, but I'm giving this one 0 Chucky heads. Tuck rule, tuck that. Dez did visit the Raiders this offseason. And sure, Dez is that name that you see it up on screen and it lights up your eyes. And he signed with the Saints in early November, but the dude suffered a torn Achilles tendon on November 9th, and I don't even know if he's going to be ready to play next season. If you ask me, this might be the end of Dez Bryant. Now, the last season that he had with the Dallas Cowboys was in 2017, and he had 69 catches, 838 yards, 6 touchdowns, and he averaged 12.1 yards per catch. He had some issues with some drops, but ultimately, you could definitely see Dez, he lost a step, and heck, he's lost a step the last 2 or 3 years. He's not the Dez Bryant that we all came to know and love, throwing up the X when him and Romo. Maybe Tony Romo made Dez actually what he was. Heck, maybe Romo made Dez Bryant a Hall of Fame wide receiver. Speaking of Hall of Fame wide receiver, is Dez Bryant a Hall of Fame wide receiver? I've seen it on Twitter. I've seen it in our YouTube community over at Chat Sports. I want to know from you, is Dez Bryant a Hall of Fame wide receiver? Type Y for yes or type N for no. I'm going to give you a Hall of Fame type of deal with BetDSI. You see that promo? Live 120? That's for a 120% deposit bonus. Go to chatsports.com/bet and get that promo code, Live 120. Mitch, what does that mean? Put down $100, get $120 for free. Heck, put down $500, get $600 for free. Shout out to BetDSI for hooking us up with the best promo code on the internet. The next rumor coming in here from Raider Nation is from Marco Valdez, and he's got the logo and or the avatar, and I absolutely love this movie, and it's killing me right now that I can't think of the movie. Deadpool, as Lena yells at me. Yeah, I actually love that movie. So, is Kareem Hunt coming to the Raiders? A lot of stuff going on with Kareem Hunt, and I'm going to give this one 1 Chucky head, and I think there's a small shred of truth. Now, if you live under a rock, you haven't heard of this, but Kareem Hunt was released after an altercation with a woman So the Chiefs said, okay, you're going to end up leaving. He is likely to get at least a 6-game suspension in 2019. I'm going to compare it to Ezekiel Elliott when he got suspended 6 games just last year. Now, teams have until today, so if you're watching this on Monday, December 3rd, teams have until today to claim Hunt for this year, or he's just going to become a free agent next year, and yeah, he can basically be signed by any team in the offseason. These are Kareem Hunt's stats. This is how many rushing yards, 824, 7 rushing touchdowns, 7 receiving touchdowns, and he's got 378 receiving yards. He's just an all-around great back, so really bad miss for the Chiefs to ultimately let him go. But if you end up lying to your team, I understand it. So, Raider Nation, I want to know from you. We know Kareem Hunt's a talented running back, but when you have off-field issues, that's what makes it interesting. Would you want Kareem Hunt to be on the Raiders? I want you to type 1 for yes or type 2 for no. If Marshawn Lynch isn't healthy next year, maybe it's an opportunity for Kareem Hunt to step in if you don't want to pay Le'Veon Bell a lot of money. Would you want Kareem Hunt on the Raiders? 1 for yes, 2 for no. Next rumor coming up here on the board is from Saint, and he kind of snuck it in there with a little 2-for-1 job. So Saint killing 2 birds with 1 stone. I appreciate that. Derek Carr for Jalen Ramsey and draft Herbert. I'm going to start with the first one, okay? Trade Carr for Jalen Ramsey. I'm going to give this one Chucky head, and I think that's a small shred of truth. So, I mean, I guess I can understand the idea. The reports are that the Jags have looked to trade Ramsey, but they've also come out and said that, no, those rumors are, they're false. Blake Bortles isn't the answer whatsoever at quarterback for the Jags. We've seen that for the last 3 years, and he could potentially trade up. The Jags could potentially trade up to get a quarterback in the 2019 draft, and the Raiders sitting there at 2. Maybe the Jags want to swap. Here are Jalen Ramsey's stats. 12 games. He's got 48 tackles, 10 pass breakups, and 3 interceptions. He is no doubt one of the most physical corners, and I would love the attitude that he would bring to a John Gruden defense. I would love the swagger. So if you just want to talk about the trade straight up, though, here it is. Jags received Derek Carr. The Raiders received Jalen Ramsey. Now, this show isn't just about me, so I want to know for you, okay? Derek Carr for Jalen Ramsey. Who wins? I want you to type R for Raiders or type J for Jags. Derek Carr for Jalen Ramsey, straight up. Type R for Raiders, type J for Jags. Now, there was a second part of that question. Do you remember? So, if we were going to trade Carr for Ramsey, we're going to need a quarterback. And drafting Justin Herbert out of Oregon, I'm going to give this one Chucky head, and I think there's a small shred of truth. So, I've seen reports out there that the Raiders would actually pass on Bosa and draft Herbert first overall. I'm going to say that's absolutely insane if that were to happen. I think Herbert's a good quarterback, and he is regarded as the #1 quarterback in this draft class, but he's not better than Nick Bosa, and he's not a bigger need than Nick Bosa. 60% completion percentage, 28 touchdowns, 8 interceptions at his 3rd year in Oregon, and ultimately has been pretty productive since getting there, especially with dealing with all the other, we'll say, nuances that have been going on at Oregon. Yeah, Lana, I know. I'm sorry. So, I want to know from you. Would you want the Raiders to draft Justin Herbert? I want you to type D for draft or type P for pass. I'll be honest. I'm typing my P for pass because I don't want Herbert. I want Bosa. I want to add to that defense because that's a bigger need because Derek Carr has been playing #good. Next rumor coming up here from Raider Nation is from Alex Mendoza, just above the Mendoza line. And it's Randall Cobb to the Raiders. Another Chucky head, and I think it's a small shred of truth because I just don't see why the Raiders would want Randall Cobb. Sure, he's going to be a free agent in 2019, but the dude can't stay healthy. And the last thing that we need is an aging receiver who can't stay healthy. He hasn't played a full 16-game season since 2015. What were you doing in 2015? I just graduated college. So this season he's played 6 games, 29 catches, 283 yards, and a touchdown. It's just the yards per catch are down. He's just not running clean routes anymore because he's always hurt. It's just not a good chemistry, and I ultimately do not want Randall Cobb on the Oakland Raiders. So, Randall Cobb to the Oakland Raiders. How many Chucky heads for this rumor? Is it Tuck Rule, Tuck That? Is it 1, 2, 3? Is it Believe It, Baby? I want to know from you. How many Chucky heads for this rumor? I've said Randall Cobb hasn't looked good all year. Maybe we need to get Randall Cobb in some Mizzen and Main gear because then maybe he'd be a little bit better, and because the performance fabric stretches, he can maybe loosen up a little bit, and even if he would sweat on the field, you wouldn't be able to tell because Mizzen and Main sweat wicking technology, it's amazing, and that's why it's comfortable.af. Guys, I'm telling you, these shirts, they're comfortable as F. Next rumor coming up here from Raider Nation, it's actually from Raider Nation, and I put a poll out on the polls in the community tab on YouTube, and I asked you, who's the greatest running back of all time? And you guys said Bo Jackson's the greatest running back ever for the Raiders. I'm going to give this one 2 Chucky heads. Like, you guys are talking, and I hear you. Now, I don't want to sit here and say I saw Bo Jackson in his prime, because I didn't. But I also didn't see the other guy who I think could potentially be there. It's Marcus Allen. So you guys said Bo Jackson was 62% of the voters voted for Bo Jackson. 33% voted for Marcus Allen. In terms of career stats, 2,782 yards. And then the rushing touchdown, 16. Receiving yards, 352. And then the rushing touchdowns, like, guys, I get it. Bo Jackson and maybe just pure talent was great. But Marcus Allen, it almost has to be Marcus Allen. 12,000 rushing yards, 123 rushing touchdowns, 5,000 receiving yards, and then it's receiving touchdowns at 21. His numbers blow Bo Jackson's out of the water. Now, Bo might have been more talented, and if Bo wouldn't have got hurt, sure, that's different. But the greatest Raiders running back of all time is Marcus Allen. So I'm typing my M for Marcus, and don't get mad at me. I don't really think it's that close. I'll take longevity and production over 4 short years. So I'm typing my M for Marcus, but if you guys think it's Bo, type B for Bo. Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report, and I'm your host, Mitchell Renz. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'm going to be back tomorrow with my top free agents for the Oakland Raiders in 2019.